target towards him. Nidalee is the first one. Rek'Sai would then come in and potentially a last one, not sure which one that would be. Otherwise, they can always ban Maokai away from Odoamne if they want to.
Very true. So H2K doing effectively what they did in the last time these two met. The Draven has actually not been played by the Wolves in a few weeks. It was banned back in week 7, played by Freeze in week 6. But the Cassiopeia has been almost consistently taken away from the Copenhagen Wolves. And I wouldn't be too surprised to see the Kalista come in as the last ban. As you mentioned, the Wolves focusing on the jungle on their side.
Yeah. So again, loulex is a bit of a weird jungler in terms of his picks, because he's mainly played these aggressive early junglers, but he's more of a supportive style because he's doing it to simply help his lanes get a lead. That's an Urgot ban.
This is an Urgot ban.
Has been banned in a lot of other regions, especially in Korea, and clearly...
And the Lee Sin is banned.
Clearly H2K were expecting something. Now, 3 bans on loulex, so he's going to have to go for one of the tanks unless you want to play Jarvan, which obviously can be built with Cinderhawk. We've seen it a few times lately in the other regions as well. And the question is now, look at the first pick here. Maokai is open, Odoamne is undefeated on the champion. We know YoungBuck likes to play it as well. And at the same time, the Kog'Maw composition is an option, but there's a lot of picks you need for it. So now H2K needs to decide, do we want to get like a Lulu and set up a potential Kog'Maw, or do we want to risk Copenhagen Wolves picking it? Because they can even go Nunu jungle, so they got all the options for it.
Yeah, it's kind of tough when there's so many very strong picks available for that first what do you prioritize. The Maokai, we speculate that this might be what they want to do to get Odoamne on something comfortable, and of course it's a very strong overall pick. They're going to go for it, but as you said, this opens up Kog'Maw and a lot of other options for the Wolves. They're going to have about a minute to figure out what exactly they want.
So now the trick is basically which 2 champions are the most important ones in a Kog'Maw composition, because you can secure them now, and then you would expect H2K to try and pick something away from it to counter the whole setup. These 2 here, so Gragas is not that important for the combo, but he works really well into it because he's one of the few junglers who can disengage with his ulti, and obviously he offers so much peel and CC to help out Freeze here. And obviously Kalista is also open if he wants to go for it, if Hjarnan takes away a key pick.
Exactly, they don't have to choose the AD carry they want right at this exact moment. And they also want to see what they can formulate against an H2K composition. So right now there's a lot of fluid thinking going on between these 2 teams. H2K taking their time.
Yeah, and they must know what's going on.
They have to.
You know Lulu's coming in as a first pick. You know Nunu is open, Jan and Nami, whatever. Like, all the picks needed is there to just at least protect the AD carry comp. And the current meta has been so much about either you run a full tank composition where you have these super long fights and you simply out-sustain the other team, or you run a composition that buffs your AD carry so you kill the enemy frontline before your own frontline dies, and then you win the fight because then you just start rolling over people. That's also why Lulu is such a good pick, because she buffs your AD carry, the whimsy, the movement speed is super important, and the insane amount of shields and HP she can give as well.
Right, and it's not like they're at threat of having a key AD carry taken away anyways in this situation. Hjarnan's preferred some different styles. They're not going to necessarily take the AD carry they want right now. H2K themselves, they pick up the Sejuani, and they pick up a Thresh. So this is more general strength, but they do have a double tank line now.
A massive tank line already there, so that's very standard on this current patch, but here it is. I mean, the Kog'Maw has already been locked in for Copenhagen Wolves. I would expect the Sivir to come in for H2K. They like to do it with the Maokai and have somewhat of a, we're just going to pop our ulti and our tanks are going to run into your back line and you won't be able to stop them. But then again, you would fall behind in terms of damage if we go to late game, so they might have to try and counter with a hyper carry themselves on H2K's side.
Yeah, Jinx has been really growing in popularity for not only her ability to start snowballing hard off of kills, but to take objectives incredibly fast. The Jinx Thresh lane has been one that's been fairly strong for a while. It lends her a lot of mobility with the Dark Passage, and also you're able to set things up. Yes, it is, but it's against a Kog'Maw, which if you can get him caught on a hook, you can put a hurt on him very, very quickly. Yeah,
and you have the traps, obviously, so you got a good CC combination, but Copenhagen Wolves in their bottom lane here, once they hit level 5, they will destroy the Jinx in terms of trading back and forth. And we know Freeze and Unlimited is a fantastic dual lane, so they would be happy taking the 2-2 lane for Copenhagen Wolves side here. The question is just, do you want to lane swap for other reasons? Do you want to maybe try and just secure free farm on Freeze and nothing else? Maybe give him a level advantage if you just put him alone in a side lane? I think Copenhagen Wolves can be happy going standard lanes here. They should be fine. The top lane matchup, despite we talk about how Odoamne and YoungBuck is a bit of a mismatch in terms of, you know, individual skill, Lulu into Maokai is a matchup where barely anything happens. It's a farm lane, so that's fine putting YoungBuck there and kind of nullify Odoamne and his fantastic, normally fantastic laning.
Yeah, and you know, Maokai's going to want to scale up, get to a point where he's just going to be a massive tank anyways. And
they can Orianna here.
Let's throw everything else at the moment just a minute. I think, yeah, the Ziggs, yes, there's Athene's buffs, but I still don't think that's really going to be the case.
Orianna, though, is really good with
Orianna is fantastic.
And Soren used to be an Orianna main.
And very safe in lane as well against this Ahri.
So, Copenhagen Wolves have drafted a composition here which is not exactly going to roll over you in the laning phase. It's fairly slow, safe, farm-focused comp from the Copenhagen Wolves, but it is insanely strong once you start hitting these late game team fights where Freeze is going to be an absolute monster. We know Orianna scales up really well, and you have this combination as well of put the ball on a Gragas, let him body slam into the enemy team, then your Orianna ulti, so you have even set up for the shockwave. So Copenhagen Wolves really drafted a great team fight. The problem is, can they get to these team fights? Because H2K normally do so well in the mid game by taking down these towers.
That is always the question for the Wolves. When they win, the games tend to go extremely late. They're trying to play to that strength, but they need to be able to survive past the laning phase. And we'll see if they can do it in game number 1. Yeah. If they are able to take this win, they make a very, very strong statement against H2K, the team that a lot of people are favoring.
Yeah, and this comp that Copenhagen Wolves is running is what many people consider the best. And wait, they're trading ties.
Well, that's a new one.
Well, probably is not doing a good job of it.
He's taking his time. It's all right.
Rip it off him, man.
There we go. Talk about good sportsmanship.
Is it really trading ties?
I think so.
Is that
you have to have a trust. You have to have a lot of trust if you're going to trade ties.
Can I get you a tie?
Or at least in between game, maybe.
No,
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I can give you the pocket square. Here, hold on.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Well, let me.
Thank you.
There you go. Oh, you are looking so dapper.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys. Now that we've done our trade, why don't you go ahead, hop on Twitter, send us your predictions. Let us know who you think is the most prepared for this best-of-5 match. Tweet us at LOL Esports with the hashtag H2K win or CW win. We'll tell you those in game, but we've got to get into the game right now. Loading onto the Rift, H2K versus the Copenhagen Wolves.
And this comp here, like Copenhagen Wolves is running, many players consider this to be some of the best you can do in the current meta, simply because you're buffing your hyper carry so much and you protect him. Like, how is a Maokai and Sejuani going to kill Freeze in the late game? Like, that's never going to happen. So suddenly you need Ryu to come in like from the flank, land a charm, and maybe try and one-shot him. But then again, there's a cleanse. You're going to have to shield the ulti from a Lulu, you got shield from Orianna, heal from Nami. I mean, there's so many ways of protecting this AD carry. And H2K, it's not even like they're running a fantastic early game. Ahri is good in lane, but Maokai, Sejuani, they want time. Jinx want time as well. She can fast push a tower, but she's not going to destroy her lane. So H2K here might have to go late game and try and battle it out.
Yeah, it's a really interesting matchup. I feel like the flip side for Copenhagen Wolves is that this is risky just because of their playstyle and their typical weaknesses, which lie in the mid game. But also, there's a reason not a lot of teams have been able to pull off the Juggernaut. It's not an easy composition to play.
It is not, and often people even try and ban it away or just pick things away from you. But here, H2K allowed it to be picked for the Copenhagen Wolves. And we can just talk about, the difference between these two teams, because we always say, or we have said a few times already today, Copenhagen Wolves, good laning phase, H2K fantastic mid-game.
It's a little early for Christmas caroling, but all right.
Basically what happens is, normally Copenhagen Wolves will win their lanes, at least in the bottom lane, and often in the mid lane for Soren. And then they simply don't know what to do after the laning phase. They're not very good at pushing their advantage. They don't really rotate well between the towers, and they don't set up objectives too well either. And that's been a big problem, because that's where teams come back. What H2K likes to do is they're playing a very standard laning phase, and then they take down loulex once they feel like now it's time to fast push a tower. Around 10-12 minutes, and they go maybe bottom lane, and they just push it in with a Sivir, with a Jinx, take the first auto turret, and then they rotate between the lanes and create a massive goal lead between 15 minutes and 20 minutes. And that's what's so hard for teams to react to if you don't expect it.
I think at this point you have to expect it from H2K, but the question is, can you really react to it in time? They can always vary up when they want to turn on the pressure. Very objective, focused play from them, though, and they don't have to win by fighting. This is the thing. There's a wombo combo from Copenhagen Wolves the later the game goes, but H2K have all the tools necessary to effectively side push as long as they want.
They can split push with the Ahri. It's not optimal for them to do, and Orianna should be able to hold her own one-on-one for pretty much the entire game long in this sense. But let's look at the lane swap instead. H2K, they're fast pushing the bottom side. This is what you can do with Jinx. very easily. You get so much damage on these towers just on every single wave hitting in. And they're just pushing it. So let's see if they want to have the tower clear the entire wave and then try and bounce it back, or if they want to stay and just keep pushing. Like, look at the damage they're doing. Meanwhile, Freeze in this top lane is funny enough freezing the lane, and he's not going to get any damage on the tower. So H2K responding, saying we don't care. Let him free farm. We want your tower, and then we swap to the top side after we kill the dragon.
So far, so good. That seems the game plan from H2K. On the Copenhagen Wolves side, they were a little top heavy. They did back away after that. Unlimited's making his way down bottom, but there are a lot of H2K members moving around the Dragon. It's going to be dicey if the Wolves do make a play for it. Dragon's already been begun. It's 4 minutes in. Yeah,
so very standard play in these lane swap here. When an AD carry is freezing on the top side, Dragon will always be contested. Normally what happens is the enemy jungler, so in this case Airwaks, and both Unlimited and YoungBuck would be there to stop it. But because Airwaks is running around on the top side of the map, he's not nearby, so they couldn't go for it and couldn't go stop H2K. Remember that change to the Dragon where we always finish the auto attack? That was made to make this a lot harder and make basically the other team able to stop you.
It's more difficult, but
had Airwaks been on the bottom side, him, YoungBuck, and Unlimited would have stopped that Dragon from happening. But he's running around the top side beforehand, giving up a free one to H2K. I don't feel like they should have done that. Airwaks should have been there.
The Wolves had to know this was happening too. When KaSing goes missing, when obviously we haven't seen loulex for a little while, he may not be super active around the bottom side of the map, considering he does like to hang around Odoamne a little bit. You have to know something is up, so even if they don't have the exact timer, the Wolves should know that the Dragon is not available to them. But they're not able to get anything back. Let's see what Airwaks can do here as he moves towards Ryu. Body slam into it, but the charm's going to connect. The ball as well. Ryu is fine on half his health, and he pushes it back.
And meanwhile, we see Odoamne, he teleported top lane. Freeze is obviously on his own. While he will do some damage to Odoamne, he's not really going to stop him too much from farming or getting XP, so he's going to be fine. YoungBuck trying to do the same in the bottom lane, obviously paired with Unlimited to stop this fast push from before. Had Unlimited not showed himself, YoungBuck would probably have been toast, as there were 4 guys on the bottom side from H2K. Still that Dragon, a bit of a misplay simply by Airwaks being on the top side. He was focusing a gank on the mid lane instead of stopping that Dragon, and clearly didn't pay off because Ryu still has both his summoners. He's even in farm. Only lost a few potions.
Yeah, H2K are perfectly happy playing this game out the way it is in the laning phase. They're getting little advantages, denying the attempts from the Copenhagen Wolves. And this is the time when the Wolves really, really need to be making the plays. Because if they can get themselves a good lead in the early game, then their mid game, well, it won't sting as much. But let's see what happens here. loulex has found Airwaks by the Baron pit. Turns on the flail as he dodges the barrel. And nothing's going to happen just for a moment. But there's the body. Slam over the wall.
Yeah, not as explosive as when it was like a Lee Sin and a Jarvan finding each other. This is 2 big tanks. We're just gonna look and then back away. Ward was cleared. Now Unlimited has gone to the top lane here. He's gonna push in with Freeze. That's gonna give up this tower. Hjarnan did a lot of work on it in the early game. And H2K, because there's no Dragon, they can swap Jinx and Thresh to the top side now and defend this tower as well and get a lead. But Odoamne taking quite the damage.
He is going to need some backup, so it's good timing for them. That will prompt him to go back to base. Meanwhile, Freeze and Unlimited will get some good damage out of this tower. And, you know, there's no teleport available for Odoamne, even if he wanted to come back into this. It looks like they're going to start trading this while Hjarnan and KaSing are staying on the bottom side.
If KaSing and Hjarnan stays on the bottom side, then Copenhagen Wolves can take the top tower. But if they just push into the wave here, get the tower to clear the minions and then recall to top side, they should be able to defend it. It looks like they're just staying at least for now. So Copenhagen Wolves can now send up Airwaks and will try and get this tower. Now they're recalling. Very late, simply because they tried to bounce the wave here. It is going to push back now to H2K, so they will give up this tower for it.
Some much needed gold for the Copenhagen Wolves when they clear this one away. Just a couple minions left, just 1 actually, and they finish it off finally. So no problem, no fuss, no muss. That will even things out in the gold department, but H2K still clutching the lead with that Dragon right now, and they're looking to move in mass up top.
Yeah, so the reason H2K made this play was simply to secure Odoamne a lot of farm in the bottom lane, because there's a big wave now being pushing in towards his tower from YoungBuck himself. So that's why they made the trade and didn't just recall instantly and leave a wave that could be frozen by the Copenhagen Wolves. Next objective for them is obviously the tier 1 tower in the top side, and with teleport ready for Odoamne in just a few seconds, they can even invade into the jungle of Copenhagen Wolves, place a few deep wards, and therefore allow Hjarnan to keep fast pushing on these towers here with the Jinx. Because you need those deep wards, man. A Jinx getting caught out on a tower is instantly dead.
Yeah. You usually don't want to try split pushing with an AD carry unless, or side pushing rather with an AD carry unless you have some serious backup. Jinx can get away if you manage to pop it down or you get a kill, but it's still super risky, which is why you see KaSing hanging out there. Freeze and Unlimited, they know that there's backup, so they're not going to try and jump on him, and that's just going to push the wave in, so they'll be able to push it back.
Then you can just rotate around now, because you're the one pushing in the wave. Mid lane, Orianna has decent wave clear, but obviously as she's going Athene's here, she's not going to one-shot the minions, allowing H2K just to get some damage on every single wave they push in and then rotate between these two lanes and also be ready for Dragon when it spawns in about a minute's time. So they're simply just pulling Copenhagen walls around on this map here and just allowing Hjarnan always to get some free farm and always get a little bit of damage. I was about to say at least and a little at the same, but just get a little bit of damage on the tower.
At least a little damage,
every single time. You just chip them away slowly. But it opens up for a very easy rotation later, where you just go and get a few hits, and then it's down.
Precisely. Now, see, that's just concentrating on this game as his team on stage is trying to hold this one back. Meanwhile, YoungBuck has found Odoamne, or is it Odoamne that's found him? He whimsies out as he tries to clear away the wave. Dragon's going to be up in another minute, and H2K could move for this one. They have decent control of the map right now. There's a wave pushing against them in top, but it won't be for long as Hjarnan's there to clear it away. And Airwaks is up on the top side right now.
It's up there again, so no wards from Copenhagen rolls around the Dragon itself. Not really like H2K has invested too much into it either, but they are in a good position to set it up again. Teleports are ready, as mentioned, and of course Hjarnan now sitting and just playing the waves. Is most likely going to start a slow push back towards the tier 1 tower, unless he wants to stay and try and trade the tower for the Dragon, because H2K already got the first one. So I have to see what the move is for them.
QW combo from Soren, taking a little chunk
out
out of Ryu's health. Yeah, Unlimited YoungBuck, they're trying to clear the wards out so they make sure they establish some of their own vision control. They will be able to clear that one pink away, start on the Scuttle Crab, but there are a number of H2K members here. In comes the Sapling, chase Unlimited and YoungBuck away.
Look at Ryu here, already completed a large rod, so he's going to be very strong for this first team fight. If he does manage to connect the charm and not get poked down by Soren, he does have one-shot potential on most of the Copenhagen Wolves members.
Soren is doing quite a lot of damage with his Orianna to start this one off, and they really, really need this. He's, of course, maxing his command attack just for the initial brunt of damage. Now the H2K members, 4 of them here, are starting off this Dragon. There's a ward here, it's going to be spotted, but the Wolves, I don't blame them for not trying to contest this one. They weren't really in the position, and it's very, very hard to fight against H2K as they are right now.
Yeah, again, we mentioned how strong Ryu is in this mid lane already with just the first item, and also because H2K managed to set up division control, they forced the Copenhagen Wolves away. But that's a problem, because now it's 2 Dragons to 0. We're 11 minutes in. H2K likes to play around these free dragons where they go towards the 5th one and then use that as some sort of way of winning, or basically forcing you into a bad team fight before Copenhagen was already. And meanwhile, the important thing is still these outer turrets being chipped away slowly. The mid tower is just a few more hits and it's down. Then you go top lane, because now there's no dragon on the bottom side. You take the top tower and then you got 3 outers. You got a big goal lead leading into the mid game, and that's what H2K likes to do. But here's a nice engage.
Oh, Airwaks is going to be going in, and Hjarnan was going very, very low for a moment, but he got the Dark Passage out. Copenhagen Wolves' attempt to pick him off is unsuccessful. Now they're going to be pushing on the middle.
Airwaks has no flash now, remember. Oh, KaSing is going in.
Yeah, he is, and in comes loulex as well. He's going to get body blocked by Airwaks Unlimited, going really, really low in this one. The rocket's coming in. That's first blood. It's 12.5. Odoamne wants to keep the fight going, and there are just way too many members of H2K here for Copenhagen Wolves to deal with as Ryu dashes in. But he takes some damage on the backside. It is only the 1 kill on Unlimited. 12 minutes into this game, but that looks pretty bloody, Deficio.
Yeah, it was not a bad engage from Copenhagen Wolves at first, knocking back Hjarnan here, but he flashed into that lantern from KaSing. Best case, you would knock both Thresh and Jinx up the lane here, so there weren't that option there to escape, but simply Copenhagen Wolves trying to force a play, then they stay in the lane, and H2K comes in, picks up first blood. Now, a lot of damage still in this tower.
Yeah.
Hjarnan there to defend. Oh, Airwaks is not done.
Yeah, Hjarnan's not going to be able to do too much. That was a quick dash away. The tower still was pecking away at the health bars of Copenhagen Wolves. They managed to get the last hit on it, finishing that one up. So they still turn their power play into some gold, but now they have to defend this one, and a few members have to go back and heal up. Let's see what Freeze can do here. He's in the front, pecking away at Hjarnan and loulex.
Remember, H2K used a lot as well for these kills here. Hjarnan's out of mana, Ryu has no ulti.
Airwaks is coming in.
Yeah, he's setting up for round 2 now. Ulti is ready just in a few seconds.
They're waiting.
Hjarnan is going to be the target here. Can he get it back?
Oh, nope,
and
not
lantern.
Okay, the slingshots continue. Hjarnan able to get out of harm's way. Soren eats the charm. This has been a lot of close calls for both teams. 1-0 kills does not necessarily reflect the last couple of minutes of play.
But I like how we can see Copenhagen Wolves is saying, we know we can't just go back to our lanes because we're going to lose our towers now. Mid tower is going down here. We have to try and make some plays. They use the Gragas here to engage a fight, end up backfiring for them. But you gotta try, man, because otherwise H2K will just get that massive goal lead. We know this top tower already taking some damage. It's currently sitting on about 60% HP. That could be the next target now for H2K and Hjarnan on this Jinx.
Take a look at our fan vote, starting this one off. 60-40. Again, Wolves, give them some good credit, but H2K definitely showing themselves as the favorites in this one. Game is still very, very close. The gold lead's slight. The two dragons are really making a big difference right now for the H2K team. However, Copenhagen Wolves, they're trying to even some things out here. They have a big wave on bottom.
H2K is making a few mistakes here. They're not really thinking about the next step. They just say, okay, what's the current objective? That's going to be this tower, and then they invest everything onto that tower. They don't look at the side lanes at this point. The bottom lane have been pushing for quite a while, and Soren moved down after the fight. And H2K responded fairly late, so that was a lot of damage now from Soren on this tower. And Copenhagen Wolves also got that mid tower, so they even it out. Just slightly behind in gold.
By no means are H2K playing flawlessly in this one. The Wolves, if they have the chance to punish, they will. And if they get to this very, very late game, the trends have shown them to play extremely well towards the end of it. They have a comp to do it. Let's see if they can make the defense here. YoungBuck, I don't think he's got nearly enough damage to force loulex and Odoamne away. Odoamne did aggro the turret, though, and now loulex has it, so they are going to back off for now. But that tower is just going to take a stiff breeze to knock it over.
It's going to be an easy one for H2K, but so will the bottom lane for Copenhagen Wolves. You can see how they're trying to trade objectives. They're saying, okay, you're going top lane with 2 or 3 guys. We just go bottom lane. We already got the wave pushing in. We already got some damage on it. We're going to apply pressure as well, not just sit back and let you dictate the map. It is funny though if you look.
Yep.
That's a Luden's Echo, first item by the way. That's a lot of extra burst damage.
And that means fish food.
It does.
For you.
Yeah, Luden's Echo, still an item a lot of people is talking about. And for some reason, people still think it's a replacement for Deathcap, and it's not. It's supposed to be a snowballing first or second item. It gives you quite a large power spike early on that you use to kind of snowball your way in towards the Deathcap, towards the Void Staff later on, because as a single first item, Luden's Echo is the best in the game for AP mages in terms of damage. In terms of pure damage, the Luden's Echo goes to 100 magic damage proc, 120 obviously on the item itself. Nothing beats that as a single first item. Later in the game, Deathcap will be better.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's useful for snowballing. Ryu's hoping that one kill is the start of many for him. If he can get more catches like that, there are still some squishy members on this Copenhagen Wolves side.
Oh, that's loads.
Yeah.
That Beans is not going to save Soren if he gets caught.
It's a big if. Let's see if that does happen. But so far, he's stayed pretty safe. Unlimited, you know, he's gone a little bit, I wouldn't say face check too much, but he's just been a little bit out of position. Hjarnan was a bit out of position himself, but he's got the Dark Passage to bail him out once again. The Wolves will go away empty-handed. It
is a good point you make about Unlimited, because he has a habit of being the first guy to walk in and ward, and it does cost him quite often, especially against an Ahri. We know Ryu is super good at finding these squishy supports, a bit like Faker used to do back in Season 3, where he'd always just one-shot the supports on Ahri. Ryu is doing the same, and he's done it before as well. He does it on LeBlanc. He likes to sit and wait around, and then when you walk in toward, he just pops you instantly. Now, ulti is ready for him. Big fight is about to be set up. Both top laners with TP.
Oh, they get the chain off after the charm. Airwaks is going to dash before the chompers connect. And a Glacial Prison will keep them from coming in again, but the teleport's on. And loulex moves over the wall, takes a lot of damage for his trouble. However, Odoamne
look for the shockwave though.
Here we go, the shockwave, it's gonna connect on Odoamne, they take him down. Unlimited getting the kill credit. Ryu coming in, the rocket's gonna connect, but it won't be enough damage. Airwaks, as big as he is, he's gonna get taken down. It's a 1-for-1, but H2K still pushing, forces the flash out of Unlimited. Hjarnan has pushed them back, and it looks like it's Dragon time for H2K.
Yeah, trading 1-for-1, but that's a win for H2K because they're still fairly healthy here. They can start that Dragon. The Wolves are staying around. YoungBuck full HP. Rio look.
Oh, he flash charms. Totally whiffs it, but he does do some serious damage to Unlimited. YoungBuck now on the chase. The Lantern's out. KaSing is not going to connect with his hook. KaSing going very low. It's Freeze who manages to pick him off, and the Dragon, in all the craziness, goes over to H2K again as loulex picks it up. Small price to pay for the third Dragon secured at 18 minutes.
Definitely worth it for H2K with that third Dragon for them. Let's see the fight. So Airwaks is being caught at first with the charm, takes a lot of damage, has to also body slam away. TP is coming. There's a nice ulti from loulex, but it's mainly to disengage the whole fight. Odoamne with the TP behind. Locking that. Look at this. The back line from the Copenhagen was all hitting this Maokai. And we're just waiting for the first one to die. Shockwave only getting one. But Rio doesn't manage to finish off a target either. Hjarnan got that one. We just see H2K kiting in and out. Stay healthy. Meaning they can go for that Dragon after. Where there were a few missed skill shots. Fair to say.
Yeah, a lot of summoners though. They definitely put the fear in the Wolves in that situation. So the gold still looks even. It's actually a lead for the Copenhagen Wolves for the time being. But 3 Dragons to 0 is a massive difference. Oh wait, no man, I read that wrong. H2K got the lead. So they're filling in the boxes very slowly, and if they can press this in this mid game, not let the Wolves get to the later stages, they're in good shape right now.
Yeah, that is very true. It's not like H2K has a terrible late game. I mean, they got hyper carry, you got double tank. It's a fantastic late game setup as well. The concern is just if you cannot get to freeze, how are you gonna win the fights? That's gonna be the big deal. And now KaSing with a nice YoungBuck.
The box is on. Oh, they're just triple teaming him now. Freeze and Unlimited are there, but YoungBuck's health bar is just absolutely melting, and they get the Glacial Prison now. But YoungBuck, can he get away? loulex being chased down by the Kog'Maw.
Oh,
the hook is gonna come in on Freeze. Will he go down? And this one, the wave's already been spent. Freeze is forced to flash. And nobody dies just yet, but Ryu evades everything as he dashes his way out of danger. Very close call for both teams.
Was that Shockwave and ulti from Airwaks here towards Ryu, both missing. And if you guys saw the little pip coming up there where we saw Dentist and a guy sitting next to him that looks like Freeze, it is not. Don't worry, he's playing. It is his twin brother sitting with Dentist. But the Copenhagen Wolves managed to stay alive. They are still getting pressured all the time, and it's clearly H2K controlling the map.
You can feel the tension in this game. For the low kill score, it does not at all reflect the amount that these two have been at each other's throats since that first blood came in.
3 dragons in 21 minutes.
It's incredible. H2K, you know, we know they're an objective-focused team, but they're not afraid to fight you in any of those situations. They're not afraid to move as quickly as possible. And the Wolves have kept up for the most part in being where they need to, but they're just getting edged out and losing ground to this H2K squad. And as a result, these 3 dragons to 0 starting to mount up.
Golden age for H2K, the golden period, where between 15 minutes and 22 minutes in the EU LCS, they are the team who always have the largest goal lead on average. Those 7 minutes is where they always get the job done. And when they win games, average game time for them, 34 minutes. Let's see what happens here, though. Freeze! He's dead.
No, not just yet. Ryu, though, he's burning down, and the Acathian surprise is not even required, as Unlimited is the one who picks up that kill. They trade carries in that situation. The rest of the teams were looking to move up and capitalize on it. Hjarnan gets pushed back, but YoungBuck is going to jump straight on the traps after a wild gross Odoamne behind enemy lines. Meanwhile, Hjarnan pecking away at the tower, gets excited to run away. He was slowed down for just a minute, takes the lantern out, the big barrel, it's going to whiff again. Airwaks, he's caught up on a line a second time.
Coming.
And Soren trying to come around the side. Hjarnan might be caught in a bit of a bind. Odoamne, he's going to go down to Soren. It is a 2-for-1 trade if you count what happened up there earlier. And Soren is still on the chase. He's got flash. He's got shockwave. He's not going to use either.
Not going to use it. So loulex is on the side. He's spotted with the ward. No dragon to be taken. The bot lane wave is something a Copenhagen Wolves can go catch and take that tower here. Trying to even out the gold a little bit at least. Sadly for them, Freeze didn't get that kill up in the top lane against Ryu. But man, Rio is constantly just looking for picks on this Ahri. That's obviously what you have to do when you build Luden's Echo. You've got to be able to snowball with it.
Yeah, but these Wolves are tenacious. When they do get into those binds, they answer back in force. The rest of the pack here to push down the last of the turret. They're going to back away as loulex and KaSing are there. Teleport comes in for Odoamne. loulex is going to throw the Ice Bullet, but it won't do enough.
Far away.
Yeah, there's a shockwave on loulex, but here's Odoamne. YoungBuck's going to flash too. They've got no tower to go back to. The Wild Growth won't keep him alive for long. Command Protect might. They're going to sacrifice him, and now they have to bail out as the rest of H2K still on the chase. They're looking for more. KaSing flays backwards. Airwaks caught. Unlimited. He's going down too. And Soren, the only one to make it out alive.
And H2K just instantly responding to what Copenhagen Wolves were doing after the fight. They saw them go down to the bottom lane. They had teleport on Odoamne. They engaged in the fight here while Freeze was just sitting top lane after he respawned farming, and the Copenhagen Wolves simply got caught out. 3 more kills. Dragon in 38 seconds. H2K can now set up wards all around the jungle here, all around the blue buff of Copenhagen Wolves, and see everything before this fight.
Got to give you credit in champion selection, Deficio. You said this H2K team is built to do one thing, and that is run at the Wolves. They've done that time and time again. This time, they were able to pick off so many key members in the number advantage. And with 15 seconds left until this next dragon respawns, the Wolves are in a bit of a bind. They've lost vision and map control around that side. Yeah, they've got some in the back behind the pit, but that's not going to help them too much when the fight's out in the river.
No, and this obviously is one of the reasons not all teams think Kog'Maw is the most OP composition you can run, because it takes time to scale up. You need that AD carry really to do well. And there are a lot of times between the early to mid game where you can make big plays on them, and it's all H2K is doing. And as we said, it's not even like the late game is bad for H2K here. They can take fights late game as well. So by them doing such a good job now, it really sets them up nicely. He's a lot of damage.
Magnet for that skill shot.
Yeah, he's not had a good game on this Gragas. He had a good play in the mid lane, but the rest of his ultis has been completely missed.
He's been frontlining okay when they need him to, but yeah, he's just not been able to land his explosive casks, or really any of his skill shots the way that they've needed him to start these fights off. So we'll see if that changes. They're going to need it. H2K now in prime position to start off Dragon number 4. It's 25 minutes into the game, Deficio. It looks like they're going to get it. The Wolves, they're collapsing, but way too late. And now they think better of it. Airwaks looking to chase KaSing. They just back off after that. Indecision from the Wolves.
And the problem, again, that they simply lose their battle for vision around the dragon before it even spawns. So they have to take these kind of weird choke point routes towards H2K, and if you get caught by, let's say, Sejuani ulti in there, I mean, you're gonna lose the fight. So they simply can never get in a good position. loulex is setting up on the side. He is spotted by the Wolves.
Yeah, too afraid to try and rush that tower down. They don't use really any of their wave clear, and H2K is able to successfully defend again. It's going to be hard for the Wolves from here on out. They've lost out in a lot of gold. They haven't been able to push towers. 4 dragons at 26 minutes. It's dangerously close to Aspect. The next one that comes up, the Wolves have to deny this.
And that really is the concern also when you run, in this case with Orianna, a champion that needs, before she becomes a real carry, she gotta get 3 items. Like, you need that Void Staff completed as well for her now, before we really see that shockwave just almost one-shotting a back line, and she becomes one of these late game hyper carries. Can they get there in time? They should be able to complete the Void Staff. Freeze should get his blade as well, but they're obviously not at the point where they want to be, especially not with Freeze, before this crucial fifth dragon, which honestly either you have to fight for it or you have to trade it for a Baron. And even that trade I don't think it's worth, because the 5th dragon or the 5th dragon buffs is just so strong.
Yeah, and you see Hjarnan here on the screen rocking the red buff now. He's been a massive part of the thorn in the side of the Copenhagen Wolves. They've caught him a number of times, but there are just so many clutch lanterns that have gotten him out of bad situations, and his positioning has massively improved since then.
And this is a mistake from Airwaks, building Righteous Glory on the Gragas here. You're running a Kog'Maw composition. Your job is not to be the engage. Your job is to kite backwards here, allow Freeze to deal all the damage, allow Soren as well, and then you just slowly chunk down the tanks. Once they're low enough, you know they're gonna either back away and you've won the team fight, and you can then go for some objective. Otherwise, you're gonna get that first kill, and then Freeze can roll over. He gets the Whimsy, he gets the speed up from Orianna, from Nami. Anyway, Righteous Glory here is not the right item. You need to be full tank on this Gragas, because you're the only big front line from the Copenhagen Wolves. Jinx is gonna melt you. easily.
Yeah, it's already started to happen. 302 has, I believe, the most gold in the game so far, sitting at about 11,000 altogether, 11.5. And it's turned into a really big lead for them. We'll see if they can maybe get a catch here. Rio is waiting patiently in the brush, but the living artillery checks on him. Still very, very dangerous for the Wolves to do much. And I agree with the builds that they're rocking. It's a little disjointed.
HP is great. Righteous Lord is a fantastic item. 650 HP with a Cinderhawk. That's fantastic. Problem is you have 0 armor or MR. So the Ahri can kill you at this point. The Jinx can kill you easily. You're not a big tank just by stacking HP against these carries from H2K.
Right, and the wave clear from H2K is, they can't siege this tower because as soon as the minion wave is up to the front door, it's already cleared away.
Yeah, Lulu and Zeku obviously adds even more wave clear from an Ahri. Death cap completed as well for Rio, so he did somewhat pay off. I mean, he got the kill unlimited. He was good in the mid-game team fights. Look at the side lanes here. Big wave pushing for H2K in the bottom lane. Top lane is just being pushed by Odoamne. They want to try to set something up in mid lane.
They have to do it now.
That was nice.
Shutdown is exactly what they needed. KaSing on the run as the wave comes out. The ice ball lands on Airwaks and freeze. Can Airwaks get out of this one? All that health, not enough, but they managed to get the shockwave. The ball connects as Soren makes a massive play for his team, but it's only Hjarnan and KaSing that are down, and they're still unable to get the turret.
So gotta worry about these side lanes from Copenhagen Wolves, but a nice catch. This was a flash body slam from Airwaks. Hjarnan still has his flash ready, didn't use it at all, therefore he ends up dying.
Rio dashes in and out, takes a bite out of the health bar of YoungBuck, and Unlimited smites down. They're still clearing these waves away. They're not getting anything for this. This is the problem. Rio goes in on YoungBuck again and nearly assassinates him.
We need to see that engaging again though from the Copenhagen Wolves. If Hjarnan could have done anything, because he had flash ready. If he saw the Gragas coming, he just had to just flash away, just play it safe. Because by him staying alive and the rest of H2K in the mid lane, these side lanes will do a lot of work for you. That's all you had to do. Just stay in there, don't get engaged on, at least not with your AD carries. Let's see once we get the replay.
Yeah, that was what Copenhagen Wolves needed to do, but the troubling thing is they were unable to turn that into anything but a couple of kills. And they still lost Airwaks in the engage, and that goes back to your point about the build and how it's not necessarily the optimal choice in this situation.
I get the point for him, because he wants to be the guy starting the fight, so he needs to speed up, get a body slam in, and knock someone back with his ulti, but
is that worth the battle step?
That's not how you play it. When you play Kog'Maw, you let the other team engage on you, and you kite. That's the way you want to play it. But this Baron,
it's so fast right now. Airwaks has to make it, not even going to try. Turns tail and runs away from that as Baron #1 completed 31 minutes into this game. All the objectives going in H2K's favor. Let's take a look at that fight again.
Yeah, so Hjarnan clearly is not expecting the flash body slam from Airwaks, and therefore he doesn't flash away himself, which does give a nice kill to the Copenhagen Wolves, and we saw the Righteous Story in action now for him. But H2K still staying around and managed to defend this tower, which is the important thing, because again, look at the side lanes pushing in. Quite some damage being dealt to these towers. Now, Dragon is up. This is #5 for H2K, and they're going in.
They are going in. loulex is the one looking to start this one off. They find Airwaks again. The hook's not going to land. Shockwave pulls in loulex, but Airwaks very, very low. A rocket comes in, but Rio picks up the kill. Rio dashing forward, gets a double, looks for Unlimited. That one's going to go down in favor of Hjarnan. A double kill for the Jinx as well. And they've caught YoungBuck. This is going to be the clean sweep. The ace is coming in. That's a triple for the Jinx, and they're heading for inhibitors.
Such a nice team fight. This is what we talked about earlier, how H2K always get to the Dragon first. They set up a few wards around it, and they can plan their engage so easy, and Copenhagen Wolves are forced to walk down into a choke point to engage the fight, and that's where we see Sejuani ultis, we see Maokai going in, zoning away, simply just denying everything from the backline of Copenhagen Wolves. There's going to be 5 Dragons. They got the Baron buff as well. They got Inhibitor down. With 32 minutes in, remember average win time is 34 for H2K. They can go for the next push.
They're following the formula exactly as they need to. H2K take full advantage. They have grabbed every neutral objective on the map. They've got themselves 6 towers and an inhibitor in the middle now. Copenhagen Wolves, it's been a while since they've been able to even pick off a tower. And if they can pull off another miracle fight like we saw in the mid, it's going to be a lot harder now that those buffs are coming into play.
Again, they gave up a lot of gold to H2K in the mid game, which obviously, as we said, is one of the problems with the Kog'Maw. It takes time to scale up.
fighting over everything. loulex just stole that red buff.
Yeah, that's good for him.
They can't really get anything even in their own jungle now.
They should lose all control of this jungle now. H2K already going in there to just basically clear out a few wards. Ryu is looking for another pick. 5, 1, and 6 on this Ahri. He's got his core damage items. And Hjarnan, I mean, I feel like we've seen this before.
Melts the tower.
He's run up to the tower. He's done it since minute 4 in the lane swap, where he just went crazy on the towers.
Well, I mean, at this point, he's got himself in such a good situation. 3-item Jinx plus the Quicksilver Sash, in case he does get caught out and CC'd. Freeze is doing what he can to try and push them back, but they've never gotten to the point where this Kog'Maw is a real deep threat. Yes, he's got the Trinity Force and the Blade of the Rune King, but those alone, he's not quite on the Infinity Edge yet. He just doesn't have the damage he needs to push back H2K.
He needs a lot more time. That's for sure.
I don't think they have that much time left here, Deficio.
H2K looking for the final push. Obviously still got to respect the tower here. You don't want to go for a crazy tower dive where you don't get onto Freeze or Soren early. But they have, I mean, they have the dragon buff. They have the item advantage.
They caught Airwaks too. They're moving in on him. His health might be big, but let's see if it's big enough. Odoamne, loulex, but the little roll, the rocket comes in. It's Ryu that gets the kill, or Hjarnan rather picks up the one, as Ryu gets a kill in the middle. After all that, they catch YoungBuck as well. He's down. 3 members of the Wolves back to base for the next 30 seconds. I don't think they're going to have that kind of time right now. Inhibitor number 2 melting, 34.5 minutes in. Freeze goes down. Hjarnan looks for even more. Unlimited all the way back to Fountain, and he's going to go for the dive, zapping him away and keeping this one all locked up. Game number 1 in this playoff quarterfinal goes to H2K.
Really sticking to the same playstyle we have seen ever since KaSing joined the team. It's all the focus on getting down early towers. You create a gold lead for yourself, and then you simply use it to get control of dragons, of barons, and that's what you play around. Copenhagen Wolves got the Kog'Maw composition. It was too slow. They tried to trade objectives early on, which was okay. But then whenever we got the big fights, H2K was just one step ahead, and Ryu on this Ahri as well, really making some plays early on, being so hard to deal with. And of course the dragons is the big story.
Yeah, I mean,
from the first one, where Airwaks was running on the top side of the map, remember, instead of being there with Unlimited and YoungBuck to stop it, they gave over the first one at minute 4 to H2K, and that started the whole snowball.
Yeah, they let H2K grab the objectives where they wanted to. They didn't fight over them until it was a little bit too late for them to really do much about it. They had some good fights, admittedly, but
sure,
they didn't take anything from it. They ended that game with only 2 towers to their name, and you just can't win when you're not able to collapse on objectives after fights. Even if you are able to win one, you let your opponents have time to regroup. They're going to come back and they're going to hit you even harder. Never had control over the Dragon Pit. Never really were able to contest in the later stages when the Baron came into play. And as a result, H2K, you know, their objective-focused gameplay rolled over that Juggernaut comp.
Completely. They just managed to snowball that lead in the mid-game so hard. You got the Jinx to fast-push towers. You got Luden's Echo, first item Ahri. I mean, you have so much damage. And we talked about the item builds. Airwaks, the only tank, the only front line. Going Righteous Glory, aiming for more utility, which wasn't needed in the composition they're playing. So that was just a big, big problem for Copenhagen Wolves. And I think they're going to have to look at their comp and say, it's a good comp, we're running, but is it the right one for us against H2K?
Exactly.
Because in the mid-game, we do have these problems. Can we get to late game by picking this, or do we have to change our picks completely? Ignore the Kog'Maw and just aim for more lane bullies, potentially?
Yeah.
And try and snowball from early on.
Yeah, well, they'll have a chance to think about it, really, because clearly, while they stayed even keel during the laning phase for the most part, despite giving up a few objectives, it really fell apart, as it seems to with the Wolves in that mid-game. And they let Ryu, they let Hjarnan just kind of run away with that. And despite some really spectacular individual plays, wasn't really enough to save it. No. I do like Soren's Orianna in this case.
I agree.
I feel like, especially with the resurgence now on 5.6 of Athene's Unholy Grail, I think they could definitely go for that again and try to build like a wombo combo composition, but they don't have to do one that late in the game.
No, again, if you keep the Orianna, that's fine. If you maybe try and log in, let's say, Graves for freeze, maybe, I don't know, Draven, Kalista, something that can make some more plays, you know, in the early stages of the game, that could be the way to go forward for the Copenhagen Wolves. They banned out loulex this game. He's shown now he can play Sejuani, he can play the big tanks clearly. Banning him out is not going to be the strategy going forward for the Wolves.
Yeah, we'll have to see what they do going forward in those next games. Now, we're going to hand it back to the analyst desk to break down